Welcome to Food Farm Talk on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph, Ontario, Canada, and on podcast on all major platforms. This show today is about Taste Real, an innovative local food initiative of the County of Wellington in Ontario here. We talked to Christina Mann, who's the Taste Real coordinator at the county. Guelph and Wellington County together form an important hub for food and farming in Ontario. I'm Paul Smith. I'm the host of a series of shows on farm sustainability. Please follow the podcast and our social media feeds on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Today we're finding out more about the Taste Real program of the County of Wellington. Taste Real is an innovative economic development program. It's all about food, farming, society, the economy, and making all those connect up. And Christina Mann is the coordinator of that program at Wellington County, and she's joining us today. And we'll start playing a little clip about Taste Real that is on YouTube, and tells you a bit about, gives you a bit of an overview of it and some personal experiences. So we'll start with that.
Taste Real is an initiative of the County of Wellington. We work with over 100 partners, including farmers, chefs, processors, retailers, distributors, and our local municipalities to promote local food and local food experiences in Guelph and Wellington County.
I appreciate the Taste Real program because they do a very good job of connecting the consumer with the farmers. We as farmers, we need the support of the consumers so that we can stay in business, so we can have a viable secure food system that is locally grown.
And it's really important for us because it helps to promote local businesses. And it's actually amazing here in Wellington County how many small businesses there are of which people are not aware what's happening. And Taste Real really help to put all those businesses literally on the map and get the consumers to know the farmers that produce the food.
Essentially, we help people who grow and prepare local food and those who are searching for it to find each other.
We've heard a little bit about Taste Real from that clip. And Christina, why don't we start with you briefly introducing yourself and talking a little bit about your personal history and a little bit about the Taste Real program beyond what people have heard in the clip there.
Food has always been important for me personally. I grew up in southern Germany, and I think we have a very strong food culture there, as well as in other parts of Europe. So when I immigrated in 2007 and joined my husband in Canada, I was a little worried about the food choices available because of what I knew of North American life. So I was very pleased to find a local food program that already existed in Guelph and sort of some of the food choices. That really drew me to this work, and I'm really excited to have found employment in that sector. So as you mentioned, Taste Real is an initiative of the Economic Development Department at the County of Wellington, and we work with an ever-growing number of members as part of this initiative. We are now up to over 150 farm and food businesses and organizations that we collaborate with to promote local food and local food experiences locally here in the county as well as the city of Guelph. And essentially, our work is about creating connections. We help with creating connections on a business-to-business side. So that's developing value chains and, creating a local food network for the individual businesses to connect, but also promoting local food on the consumer side and creating producer-consumer connections to grow a strong local food network in our region.
So it's not hard to see how this would come out of Wellington County as a rich farmland and the rich farm economy, and then with the agri-food focus in Guelph with the university and the Ministry of Agriculture and all the farm organizations here. Can you talk a bit about how that evolved at the county and how it originated and started up and evolved a little bit over the time?
Yes. So Taste Real originated, I would say, actually not from an economic development perspective rather than a health-focused perspective. So was the food access question. In 2005, the Guelph Community Health Centre had a program called the Garden Fresh Box, which still exists today, where they were sourcing food on a wholesale basis to provide food boxes on a monthly basis to food insecure neighborhoods. And they really realized that there wasn't a list, a directory, or some kind of tool available to access information about local farms and where to find local food in Wellington County. So there was some funding available through the ministry back then around local food. With help of that funding, they developed the first Wellington County local food map. Over the years, there was a lot of interest and additional events and initiatives were added to it. Kind of became obvious that that is very much an economic development initiative rather than sort of a food access, serving the population that the Guelph Community Health Centre serves. So at some point, municipalities, Wellington County municipalities and the city of Guelph came together and said, I think we have something here, something that we could take beyond its current mandate and look into some food tourism opportunities and grow the business-to-business network. And that's when Taste Real was launched as a brand.
But it does serve both the function of the food security, if you like, as well as the food business side, food and farming. So, I mean, that's a good thing. And you mentioned the local food map as your sort of one of your first initiatives. And I'm sure a lot of listeners to CFRU and on podcast will be familiar with that local food map. And that's connects, as you said, connects the food and farm businesses with local food enthusiasts. And so there might be, local direct farm business selling to the public and farm markets. And a lot of people see that and they pick it up and they don't necessarily know where that comes from. And I hear from other people that other regions of Ontario are kind of copying that. Can you talk a little bit more? You mentioned it already, but can you talk a bit more about that and its origins, how it's evolved to the present day too? Because I know you're going in digital as well.
Yes, for sure. I mean, the marketing landscape is very different from 2005 when the first food map was created to 2020. But it is still a very, very popular tool, and people just love the map. And maybe because it's a map and not a brochure, I'm not sure, but it's still a very beloved publication. When it started in 2005, we focused on a farm directory, essentially, because, nobody had a Facebook profile at that point, or at least not a business profile. And also, not many farms had websites. So it was a really helpful information-based tool. Over the years, as marketing has evolved, there's more information available online, and there are different communications channels where businesses can reach out to their consumers. So that's certainly helpful. So it's not serving that same purpose, but it is still a great platform. It's a very comprehensive platform, and it's now supported also by our website. So, if you are looking for a local business or local farm, it's a go-to base where you can find out more information. We started as a farm map. Somewhere along the way, we said, no, actually, we want to recognize and include those businesses that carry local food, such as retailers, restaurants, and food processors, because they're a very important stakeholder in those value chains. And as a consumer, we don't always have time to go to a farm or, can wait until Saturday for the farmer's market. So knowing where those spots are, where you can pick up local food throughout the week, is really important.
So one of the other sort of signature pieces of that Taste Real is involved in is the local food festival up at Ignatius. It's held every June 21st every year, and I gather that this year it's the 15th anniversary. So that's one way of judging the success, is the longevity of that event. And it's a great fun event. I've been a couple times for the whole family. Lots of activities for everybody, and it's a beautiful time of year, of course. And probably a lot of people, again, didn't know that Taste Real in Wellington County was behind that. And obviously there's partnerships with lots of other organizations. So again, maybe you can tell us a bit of the story behind that and how it works with the partnerships.
Yeah, I think we had a conversation a little bit earlier about economic development and how we're basically behind the scenes of a lot of the cool things that are happening, but not necessarily out there claiming responsibility for some of that. But that's it's one of our events, and we have a number of events that happen every year that people might not associate with the same organization, which is fine, right? We want to promote the cause, and that works. It works well. But the local food fest is special. I talked about the first map, 2005. The first local food fest actually was a potluck. With all participants of the map to celebrate the first edition, so to say. And it's grown into this really vibrant festival that happens annually at the end of June. And last year we had over 1,800 people out. So it certainly has grown in size. We always add new things to keep it interesting and evolving, but people love it as it is, so it's really great. We have a great partnership with Ignatius as the host location. For us, it's a perfect space. It's sort of just north of the city. It's kind of a great meeting place for urban and rural, for the city and the county. So the location is perfect. They are a destination for local food in itself. They have a large organic farm on site. One of the first community-supported agriculture programs was established there. They have community garden plots, like so much happening. So it's really an asset, and we're so lucky for their partnership. Other organizations we partner with are Hillside Festival. They host the stage at the local food fest every year, which is great, a great local partnership. And then we have Minga, a skill building hosted out of 10C, and we've been partnering with them to host skill building workshops at the food fest. So I think there's lots to do for the whole family, like children's activities. We said entertainment, tours, wagon rides. Sometimes the U-Pick strawberry field is open at Ignatius. Lots of booths, vendors, delicious food. But the highlight for us at the Food Fest every year is sort of that skill building component where we reacquaint people with some of those food preparation, food growing skills. We've added it a few years ago, and this is one of our main draws for the festival for sure. We have workshops around food preparation, so that could be fermenting, bread baking, sausage making, growing your own oyster mushrooms, cider making. So there's lots of different offers that people can enjoy throughout the day.
Yeah, that's plenty, for sure. Maybe we should do a live show from the Food Fest.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
And I think one of the greatest hurdles to local food is sometimes the lack of preparation skills, because local ingredients often come as whole ingredients and not already prepared, and we don't really know what to do with them. So it's an initiative to try and reacquaint people with those skills.
Yeah. We're on now. Let's move to the third sort of signature piece that now that I understand how Taste Real works, I understand that these things are actually all connected. I really didn't understand before. and I'm sure lots of people, listeners, don't either. So the Rural Romp is an event that associated with Taste Real as well. And let's listen to a little clip that has some people talking about their own involvement and what they get out of it as well. So we'll listen to that first, and then you can speak a bit more to that.
Food and agriculture are an important part of our heritage and identity here in Guelph and Wellington County. Taste Real is here to help tell that story. The Rural Romp is a self-guided farm and food tour through Guelph and Wellington County. Twice a year, you can spend a day touring the beautiful countryside and experience food and agriculture up close.
When you go on the Rural Romp, the doors are open at all the farms, and it's very transparent what's happening. So as you tour the farms, you're going to see firsthand how they do things, how things are grown or raised, and then that gives you, as a consumer, a very conscious choice to make. Like you know what you're choosing is healthy, you know that it's been humanely raised, you know that it's a good product that you're feeding your family.
I think it's just a great way to get people out to the farm, to sort of have a time when our customers can come and see what we do and see where their food's actually grown and raised. And it's just a nice time for people to get out of the city and enjoy a day in the country. And we enjoy it too, getting to know our customers a bit better. And we're pretty proud of what we do here, so we're happy to show it off.
The Romp is a great opportunity. It's good for families especially to come. I saw lots of young children, so it teaches them where their food comes from. It's not from a box, it's not from something on a shelf a lot of times, and it's a nice family event. I like it.
I prefer steaks and roasts that I might pick up here because I know who produced it, and I'm pretty sure they put a lot of care into it to protect their reputation.
People are learning about where their food comes from. They're walking around in the fields, they're meeting the farmers here, they're eating the product that they make right here. So it's a huge value, I think, to the community.
So you heard what those folks said. Do you have other stuff, other observations you might have about the Rural Romp?
Yeah, the Rural Romp is a great event to create meaningful interactions, I think. At the local food fest, we bring everybody together in one spot, and you have time to chat to the different vendors. At the Rural Romp, you're actually going to the country. If you live in a city, you're going out to the country. You have this very immersive experience at the farm. You're able to talk to the farmer. You're able to tour the farm. You're able to ask questions. And I think that's something we as consumers don't often have the opportunity to do. There are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to agriculture, so that's also something that you can clear up at a farm visit. Yeah. And I think once people see what goes into growing food, whether you grow your own garden or whether you visit a farm, you put more value in that food as well. And you understand that that's actually somebody's livelihood, right?
They personalize it. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's a very, very, very strong connections. And farmers are generally quite passionate about educating people about agriculture. Their big value for the Rural Romp is that they can showcase their farm to potential customers, right? And create that connection. And hopefully that'll translate in a long-lasting relationship down the road.
Yeah, better understanding. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're doing the show as well, is to try to clear up some misconceptions that the general public have about agriculture. So let's switch to another topic that you're involved in, and we talked about this a couple times now, but about food tourism and food experiences businesses locally. So maybe you can just tell us some of your experiences with businesses like that, and how you're promoting food tourism in Wellington County.
Yeah, I would say over the past 10 years, the amount of farms and food businesses in the food tourism sector has certainly grown. And we can see it on our website and the inquiries we get around experiences, whether it be classes and workshops, whether it be farm visits or UPIC locations. Some of them are seasonal in nature and some are ongoing. But we certainly realize there's a lot of hunger for those type of experiences. On the farm side, we can see that some of our existing operations have added experiences as to the current business structures. If you think about places like Thatcher Farms, some might know them from the Guelph Farmers Market, or may even have been out to their farm. But when I first visited them in 2009, they were selling meat from a few freezers, from a lean-to building from the side of their house. If you go out there now, you can see that they have added another large structure to their location that has a full meat cutting room, a bakery space, and a beautiful on-farm retail store. It sells their own products as well as many other local products. In addition, they have a fun farmyard, which is more like a farm playground, if you want, a corn maze, a U-pick patch, and host lots of events, concerts, and experiences at their location. So they're ones that have really expanded in that area, but there's certainly other examples around the county, such as Strom's Farm, very great experience there. Mapleton's Organic, in addition to their excellent ice cream, they also have a great experience for families to learn about agriculture, or places like Heartwood Farm and Cidery. They're fairly new on the scene, but they're really are engaging crowds around local food. So there's certainly more happening, and we try to promote those experiences on an ongoing basis. We've actually realized that was some of the feedback we got from the local food map, that those experiences weren't easily identified. And so we've decided to start printing the map every 2 years and add a different publication that's called a Food Experience Guide, that will more focus on interactive experiences that you can have in Wellington County and Guelph around food and agriculture.
Well, that's an existing one, or is that coming?
That's actually going to be launched this spring, and we're really, really excited about it, especially because it gives you really a great overview of what's available here at the county. So, we have a must-do list that lines out some of the top destinations. We have all of our farmers market listed, which are great experiences in themselves. Then a restaurants and dining page that outlines restaurants that are really heavily using local food. Farm fun area. We have U-pick destinations. We have tours, whether that be farm tours or food tours. So we've got an operates out of Guelph and Elora, and hosts a wonderful food tours that are, enjoyed by locals and tourists alike, which is great. Classes and food workshops.
Well, let's end off talking more about something that probably a lot of listeners don't hear about, and the general public certainly don't hear about it. But unless they're business people, farmers or suppliers, so this is sort of the food economy side of. So you do a lot of this, what they call business to business work, connecting one business or a supplier to another one that needs what the other produces and may have been unaware of their existence. And so I think this is a really interesting area, and probably it's good for the public to know about these things. So maybe you can tell us a few stories about how you've been able to match up people so that they can be more successful and more in their business, whether it's food or farming or whatever.
One of the great benefits of the Taste Real program is that our business partners, have essentially a go-to networking list for suppliers or for potential collaborators. Right, retailers have the opportunity to reach out to local producers if they're looking for a certain ingredient to add to their assortment, and vice versa. So that's sort of the basis of this whole program. For years, we hosted annual networking events called Source It Here. So it's very specific to our area, where we wanted to encourage those connections and producers and retailers or processors to meet each other. It was always well attended, and we had usually a few speakers on specific local food topics, and then a trade show. And that really helped to create that business to business local food network. We're mixing it up now, as you know, we've done this for many years. So we do maybe more specific initiatives where we work with a subgroup of our partnership base, for example, the CSA farmers or farmers markets, to see what some of the tools are that would help them further. But it's really great to see that businesses are collaborating, and there are products that are, being created. For example, a condiment that would have a chef reaching out to a brewery and saying, "Hey, I would like to use your beer in a barbecue sauce," or we have a lot of honey vendors that have found local retail spots, and now you can actually purchase them throughout the week and not maybe once a week at the farmers market. And our office is certainly also a resource when it comes to helping find ingredients. I often get calls from chefs or retailers that are looking to source something specific. So it could be, quail eggs, it could be a wholesale contact for maple syrup, or maybe elk meat because they want to run a special on their menu. So some ongoing initiatives, but a lot of it is one-to-one work where I'm helping individual businesses finding ingredients.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's what makes it all happen. It's the businesses making connections and offering things so the rest of us can enjoy those things.
Creating authentic Wellington tastes.
Well, let's end there for the moment, Christina. You're such a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience, and so many great stories to tell. And so I'm glad we bumped into each other at that Perspectives potluck back in the fall. And I know we're virtually neighbors, as we found out later. But we've got to have you back on the show to talk about some of the specific things that you're doing, whether it's the local food fest or the Rural Romp. We'll bring you back again, because I think there's lots of stuff that people in Guelph and surrounding here would really like to hear more about. So thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So you heard my conversation with Christina Mann about the amazing local food activities around Guelph and Wellington County that are assisted by Taste Real. You may have some thoughts about what you've heard, and please send us any comments you have via the social media feeds at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And there's more information about Taste Real in the show notes for this podcast on the podcast site. Thanks to Christine for coming in for the interview, and to the voices and people behind the voices of local food and agriculture businesses that you heard talking about Taste Real. Please tune in for the next show on Food Farm Talk on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph, Ontario, Canada, and on podcast. Thanks very much for listening.